1. Love is the foundation of self. Worth. A woman without love is not just without romance, she's without the affirmation that tells her she matters. Love, when healthy, builds confidence and security. But here's the truth. The first love a woman needs isn't from a man, a family member, or a friend. It's from herself. Because if she doesn't value herself, she will accept anything and call it love, too. Without love, survival becomes the focus. When a woman doesn't feel loved, she moves into survival mode. She may overwork, overgive, or overplease just to earn crumbs of attention. But survival mode keeps you alive. It doesn't let you live. That's why some women feel empty even with full schedules and busy lives. Love fills the soul, not just the calendar. 3. Unloved women often settle for less when love is missing. Standards start to slide. She might accept disrespect, abuse, or neglect because she doesn't believe she deserves more. But the problem isn't that she's too strong or too independent. The problem is that she's trying to fill a love gap with things that can never replace real care and respect. 4. Love teaches boundaries. When a woman knows love, especially self-love, she learns to say no without guilt. Without love, boundaries feel like walls, and she fears people will leave. But real love makes you protect your peace, even if it means losing those who only came for your weakness, not your worth. 5. A woman without love can become her own enemy. An unloved woman can turn her pain inward, doubting herself, sabotaging her blessings, and questioning her own value. She can start to believe the lie that she's unworthy of joy. This is why self-awareness is critical. Pain is a signal, not a verdict. It's saying something has to change. 6. Love is a choice you give yourself first. If you want to change the story, you must start with you. Don't wait for a partner, a parent, or a friend to give you permission to be loved. Speak life over yourself. Treat yourself with kindness. Invest in your growth. And refuse to entertain anything that feels less than love. Because once you know your worth, you can't unknow it. And once you love yourself, the right people will learn to love you right or not at all. Closing. Tony Gaskins tone. Queens, understand this. A woman with no love is like a garden with no water. She might survive for a while, but she won't flourish. Water yourself. Speak over yourself. Love yourself. Because if you don't, the world will teach you to settle for being dry, and you were born to blossom. Love is the foundation of self-worth, and without it, everything else in life feels unstable. See, when a woman grows up without real love, not just words, but actions, she starts life with an invisible gap in her heart. That gap is where her identity should be rooted, where her confidence should be built, where her spirit should feel secure. Love is not about someone constantly showering you with gifts or compliments. It's about the steady assurance that you matter, that you are seen, and that you are valued beyond what you do or how you look. Now here's the truth. The first love a woman needs isn't romantic love from a man, a partner, or even a friend. It's not even the love from her parents, though that's important. The first and most necessary love is self-love. Because without that, she becomes dependent on the approval and affection of others just to feel worthy. She'll keep looking for someone to fill that gap, and the wrong people will see that need as an opportunity to take advantage. When a woman knows her worth, she's not desperate to be chosen. She chooses herself every day. She understands that being alone is better than being with someone who doesn't honor her value. But when she doesn't know that love, when she hasn't built that relationship with herself, she can fall into a pattern of overgiving and overcompromising just to keep people around. She starts to mistake attention for love, control for care, and lust for commitment. See, real love builds a sense of inner stability. It tells you, even if the whole world walks away, I am still enough. Without that, a woman can become like a house built on sand. Everything looks fine until life storms come, and then everything starts to collapse. Self-love is the foundation that keeps her standing, even when relationships end. jobs are lost, or seasons change. Self-love also sets the standard for how others will treat you. People watch the way you handle yourself, the way you speak about yourself, and the way you allow yourself to be treated. If you treat yourself like you are not valuable, others will follow that example. But when you operate from a place of love for yourself, it becomes harder for people to disrespect you because you're not afraid to walk away from situations that don't match your worth. And here's the most important part: self-love isn't selfish. It's not about arrogance or thinking you're better than everyone else. It's about making sure your own cup is full so you can pour into others without draining yourself. You can't be the best mother, friend, leader, or partner if you're running on empty. Love yourself first so that you can give to others from a place of overflow, not desperation. Because at the end of the day, the love you give yourself is the love that teaches the world how to love you. When a woman doesn't feel loved, something in her spirit shifts. She stops living and starts surviving. Survival mode is not a life. It's a constant grind where every move is about getting through the day rather than truly experiencing it. She might pour herself into her work, thinking that if she achieves enough, someone will finally notice her. She might overgive to friends or family, hoping that if she does enough for them, they'll give her the affection she craves. But here's the problem. Survival mode doesn't leave room for joy, peace, or fulfillment. It's all about keeping your head above water, never about learning to swim freely. When love is missing, life becomes a series of transactions instead of connections. Every interaction feels like a negotiation. If I do this for you, maybe you'll give me some attention in return. That's not love. That's emotional bartering. And the danger is that a woman in survival mode can get so used to operating this way that she forgets she was made for more. She'll normalize exhaustion, normalize neglect, and even normalize being invisible. Survival mode also keeps the heart guarded. When you haven't experienced real love, it's hard to trust it when it finally shows up. You start thinking, what's the catch? Or how long before they leave? So even if love does come, survival mode whispers that it's temporary and you shouldn't rely on it. It robs you of the ability to be fully present in the moments that matter. And the truth is, survival mode isn't always obvious to outsiders. On the surface, she may look strong, independent, and in control. But inside, she's running on empty, just trying to make it to the next day without breaking down. That's why we can't judge a woman by her productivity or her smile. Sometimes, that's just the mask she wears to hide the absence of love in her life. But here's the good news. Survival mode is not a permanent address. The moment a woman begins to receive and believe in love, starting with self-love, she shifts from just existing to truly living. She starts making choices that serve her well-being instead of choices that simply keep her afloat. She learns to rest without guilt, to enjoy moments without fear, and to receive kindness without suspicion. Love takes her out of scarcity and into abundance. It reminds her that life is not just about enduring. It's about experiencing the fullness of joy, peace, and connection. Without love, survival is the default. With love, life becomes the gift it was meant to be. And that's why every woman needs to know that she's worthy of more than just making it through. She's worthy of thriving. When love is missing, standards start to slip, often without a woman even realizing it. At first, she may have a clear picture of the kind of respect, kindness, and care she deserves. But when that love and affirmation never show up, or show up inconsistently, she begins to adjust those standards just to keep someone around. She starts telling herself, maybe I'm asking for too much, or at least they're here, even if they don't treat me the way I want. Over time, she trades her dreams for tolerances, her needs for compromises, and her worth for the bare minimum. This settling doesn't always happen overnight. It's a slow erosion. It starts with excusing little red flags. She'll say they're just stressed, or that's just how they are, when deep down she knows it's disrespect. She might laugh off hurtful words, convince herself that neglect isn't personal, or try to justify why consistent effort is too much to expect. And with each compromise, the line of what's acceptable moves lower, until she barely recognizes the woman she used to be. When love is absent, the longing for connection can become so strong that it overshadows self-respect. A woman might accept crumbs of attention and call it a feast because she's emotionally starved. She might tolerate manipulation, dishonesty, or even abuse, just to avoid the pain of being alone. She becomes convinced that something is better than nothing, not realizing that something is actually draining her spirit and keeping her from the love she truly deserves. The tragedy is that a woman without love may start to believe that her value is negotiable. She might think, if I change myself, maybe they'll love me more. So she shrinks parts of herself, silences her voice, and hides her true feelings, all in the hope of keeping someone who was never willing to meet her needs in the first place. In doing so, she loses not just her standards, but pieces of her identity. But here's the truth: real love never requires you to lower your worth to fit someone else's comfort. Real love calls you higher, challenges you to grow, and affirms your value even when you can't see it yourself. When a woman begins to understand this, she stops settling. She stops begging for what should be freely given. She stops adjusting herself to keep people who can't match her energy. Instead, she starts protecting her peace like it's priceless, because it is. She learns that it's better to stand alone in dignity than to be surrounded in disrespect. She realizes that loneliness with self-respect is far lighter to carry than companionship built on compromise. And when she finally refuses to settle, she makes room for the kind of love that doesn't just stay. It builds, it nurtures, and it honors her worth. When a woman truly knows love, especially the kind she gives herself, she learns the art of setting boundaries, and she learns it without apology. Love teaches her that no is not a rejection of others, it's a protection of herself. Without love, boundaries can feel like heavy walls built out of fear, guilt, or insecurity. She might avoid saying no, because she's terrified people will leave, misunderstand her, or think she's selfish. But when love is present, boundaries are no longer about keeping people out, they are about keeping her peace in. A woman without love often confuses boundaries with pushing people away. She worries that standing up for herself will cost her relationships. So she says yes when she's tired, gives more when she's already empty, and tolerates behaviors that drain her spirit. This isn't generosity, this is the part that terrifies them. But when she starts loving herself, she realizes that her time, energy, and emotional health are resources, and resources must be managed wisely. Love gives her clarity. It helps her see that the right people will not be threatened by her limits, they will respect them. It shows her that healthy boundaries are not restrictions, but invitations for healthier connections. They separate what builds her from what breaks her, what nourishes her from what depletes her. And with that clarity, she no longer entertains every request, every demand, or every person who wants access to her life. When a woman sets boundaries from a place of love, she's not moving from fear, she's moving from confidence. She understands that saying no to one thing means saying yes to something better, her rest, her goals, her peace, or her healing. She's not afraid of losing people who only came into her life because she had no lines drawn. She knows that anyone who truly values her will adjust to the boundaries she sets, and anyone who leaves because of them was never meant to stay. Without love, boundaries feel like a risk. With love, they feel like a right, and the shift is powerful. She stops asking for permission to protect her space. She stops explaining or over-justifying her decisions. She stops letting guilt make her reopen doors that were closed for a reason. In the end, love teaches her this truth. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about making room for the right people to come in. The love she has for herself creates a standard for how others must treat her, and those standards are enforced through her boundaries. And once she understands that, she moves differently, she speaks differently, she lives differently. Because she finally knows she's not here to please everyone. She's here to protect the woman she's becoming. An unloved woman often becomes her own harshest critic. When the world has failed to affirm her value, she begins to believe the whispers of self-doubt. She questions her worth, not because it's gone, but because it's never been consistently acknowledged. Every mistake becomes proof in her mind that she's not good enough. Every rejection feels like confirmation of her deepest fear, that she is unlovable. This kind of pain doesn't just stay on the surface. It seeps into her decisions, her relationships, and even her dreams. Without love to remind her who she is, she may start sabotaging her own opportunities. She'll talk herself out of applying for the job she's qualified for, or decline invitations that could open new doors. She might settle in relationships because she believes she can't do better, or she might push away good people because she assumes they'll leave anyway. When love is missing, the mind becomes a breeding ground for lies, and those lies can shape an entire life. The most dangerous part is that she may not even realize she's doing it. It feels normal to play small when you've never been encouraged to stand tall. It feels safer to stay in the shadows than to risk being seen and possibly rejected. So she hides her light, not knowing that her light is the very thing the world needs. But here's the truth. The lack of love she's experienced is not a verdict on her worth. It's a reflection of the people who failed to give it. Love is not earned by perfection, beauty, or performance. It's something every human is worthy of simply because they exist. When a woman begins to understand this, she starts to challenge those internal lies. She begins to speak to herself the way she wishes others had spoken to her. She replaces "I'm not enough" with "I am more than enough." She replaces "I can't" with "I can learn." This shift doesn't happen overnight. It's a process of catching herself when she starts to self-sabotage, of choosing grace over criticism, and of refusing to let her past dictate her future. She learns to become her own safe place, the person she can trust to be gentle with her in moments of failure and firm with her in moments of doubt. And as she does this, something beautiful happens. Her actions begin to align with her new beliefs. She takes chances she once feared. She invests in herself without guilt. She surrounds herself with people who reflect the love she's learning to give herself. Slowly, the self-enemy becomes a self-ally, and the woman who once tore herself down becomes the woman who builds herself up daily. That is the power of turning inward pain into inward love. It transforms not just how she feels, but how she lives. If a woman wants to change her story, she must start by giving herself the very thing she's been waiting for others to give her: love. Too often, she's been told that love is something she earns from someone else's approval, commitment, or validation. She's been taught to wait for it, to hope for it, and to prove herself worthy of it. But the truth is, the most life-changing love is the one she chooses to give herself first. It's a decision, not a reward. It's not dependent on anyone else's opinion, effort, or presence. Choosing self. Love means deciding that she will no longer measure her worth by how others treat her. She stops looking for a partner, a parent, or a friend to confirm her value. She starts being the one who speaks life into her own soul, who encourages herself when no one else is around, who comforts herself in her lowest moments. This doesn't mean she no longer needs love from others. We all need healthy relationships, but it means she's not starving for it. She's not depending on it to feel whole. When a woman loves herself first, she sets the tone for every relationship in her life. People begin to notice what she will and will not accept. They see that she's not available for games, manipulation, or disrespect. They see that she operates from a place of fullness, not emptiness. And because of that, she attracts people who want to add to her life, not drain it. Self-love becomes the filter that keeps the wrong people out and makes space for the right ones to come in. Loving herself also means investing in her own growth. She's willing to spend time, energy, and resources on becoming the best version of herself, not to please others, but because she knows she deserves it. She prioritizes her mental health, her peace, and her joy. She learns new skills, explores new interests, and takes care of her body because she recognizes it as the vessel carrying her through life. She becomes intentional about the words she speaks to herself, knowing they shape her reality, and something powerful happens when she consistently chooses herself. She becomes unshakable. Heartbreak may still come, disappointments may still happen, but they no longer destroy her. Why? Because she's built a foundation of love within that nothing external can take away. She knows that even in seasons of loneliness, she is never truly alone because she is standing with herself. The world changes for a woman who realizes she is the source of her own love first. She no longer waits to be chosen. She lives as if she already is. And in doing so, she not only transforms her own life, but inspires others to do the same. Because once you know your worth and love yourself deeply, you stop chasing people who can't match that love. You simply stand in your truth and let the right ones find you there. A woman without love is like a seed without water. She might survive for a season, but she cannot flourish until she's nourished. We've seen how the absence of love can strip away confidence, push her into survival mode, lower her standards, weaken her boundaries, turn her against herself, and keep her waiting for someone else to give what she's always had the power to give. But we've also seen the truth. The moment she chooses to love herself first, everything changes. She rises from survival into purpose. She sets standards that protect her peace. She learns to say no without guilt and yes without fear. She stops settling for crumbs because she knows she's worthy of the whole feast. And from that place of fullness, she doesn't just live, she thrives. So to every woman hearing this, remember, you are not waiting on love to find you. Love is already in you. And when you start living from that truth, you won't just be a woman who has love. You'll be a woman who is loved.